What's up, YouTube? It is Jaz.Wav here, and we're rolling in with another video. Today's topic is going to be something that I'm very passionate about, and it's one of my favorite games that I've been playing for quite a while, and I've been supporting the devs for a while, and that's Rivals of Aether 1. What, you thought I was talking about Rivals of Aether 2? Well, I mean, I do love Rivals 2. I love Rivals 1 as well. And Rivals 2 is going to be a topic for another day in regards to that R2CS, you know? But today is going to be all about Rivals 1. Why? Because Monday I was looking at a message that Steven or SBS had sent on Twitter talking about, oh, hey, if you're a TO who runs Rivals 2 off of Steam Deck, report to me, tell me what's going on, I want your feedback, right? And then immediately, once I was done seeing that, I came across a tweet from Old Man Spidey, and Spidey, I know, is from my region. I am MDVA, and MDVA is one of the regions that are still actively running Rivals 1 locals and all that, right? And I came across this announcement. And it says, in lieu of an official RCS Top 50 NA ranking for Rivals Aether 1 this year, Willow, Miko, Wendy, 2Jank, and I will be putting together an NA ranking of our own. We are trying to keep this pretty loose in general, so here is what the current plan is. Any Rivals 1 tournament, online or offline, that manages to hit at least 25 entrants in current year and is in NA will be considered. Online events will be weighted less during panel decisions, but still considered. Players need to attend 3 tournaments minimum to qualify, and at least 2 out of those 3 need to be offline. At the end of the year, we will form a panel to rank the top 25 players. We're counting tournaments that already happened this year because we need everything we can get. We're keeping track of tournaments on bracket. If we are missing any, please let us know. And I'm gonna go ahead and actually grab that bracket link. It is something that I did forget to pull up. Just 1 second here, and there we go. Give that a moment to load, and we will come back to that bracket in a second. There is a lot in this announcement that I disagree with. And joining me to discuss some of the problems that we all are kind of like, what are they doing? What are they thinking? Especially given the state of Rivals 1 now, which, spoilers, Rivals 1 is not dead. It never was dead. It's just that there's just a lot fewer Rivals 1 tournaments to, you know, play in or attend, right? But joining me, I have Theoneoutkast. Later on, we will have SimplySkeptic, Project Shadow, and possibly Tekknite as well, joining me to discuss this. So, Outcasts. We can both agree that what has been established so far is not loose whatsoever. Right?
What do you mean? What do you mean? I mean, if you live on the east side, like, yeah, it's pretty loose, right?
No, yeah. If you live on the East Coast, but what about
That's
the
good.
West Coasters?
Not
What
even
about the
just the
West
West Coast.
Coasters?
What about Canadians, man? Like,
Yeah,
damn.
what about West Coasters? What about Canadians? What about the Mexican players as well?
Dude, like, what? Because, like, okay, yeah, you read the entire thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, like, and we bring this up because it's like it says you need to at least attend 2 offline events. That's some wicked work right there.
Yeah,
That
so
that is wicked. Are you serious? Like, yo, how? If you okay, yeah, if you're really passionate about Rivals 1 and you hate Rivals 2, but you're locked into Canada and Mexico, I'm sorry, dog. You picked the wrong spawn point. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you're screwed.
excuse me, but
Like,
I want to combine the first 2 points in here because it brings up a very big talking point, and that is the fact that why it's not the minimum qualification. It's the fact that two of these events need to be offline.
be offline.
When, let's be honest, there's at least three guaranteed Rivals 1 events, and hint, they're all grassroots, by the way, that people can go to, and those are Hitfall in the MDVA region, Full Stack in upstate New York, and then the original grassroots Rivals bracket, Heatwave in Arizona, right? So,
R.I.P. Goaty.
yeah, I mean, Goaty does still run Rivals 1, kind of. I think they're just more focused on Rivals 2, but they are not
Good
out of
reason.
the realm of possibility of
Mhm.
having a Rivals 1 bracket. But that being
Oh
said,
yeah.
you only have three grassroots events that are guaranteed, and 2 out of 3 of those grassroots events are on the East Coast. And it does not help that because Rivals is at EVO this year, you have SBS pushing for people to try and make it out to EVO as opposed to waiting to go to Heatwave,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't doesn't really help at all considering that
Oh
Heatwave has been
man,
the lifeblood of the community.
it's one of, or was one of, or one is still one of. Like, let's be
Yeah,
real.
it is,
Like,
it is
they're still gonna get a lot of numbers for Rivals 2 and just everything in like in the Heatwave bracket. Let's be honest.
yeah, exactly. So that still kind of disappoints me. Like, I get it. It's like a one-time thing that might not happen again for Rivals as a
Oh yeah.
whole.
Oh,
But at
for
the same
sure.
at the same time, you don't want to throw away your grassroots like that. You absolutely don't.
Yeah, but I see it more as like less of like the dev SBS, but more of like the man Steven saying this as a fan,
Yeah.
which is yeah, like we said, it's still a shame, but
Yeah,
like
because SBS was a player first before a dev, and we both understand that
no, I
sentiment that he has. But
because I'm gonna be real, I would be doing the same thing. I would be saying the exact same thing. Like to like if I was in that position of like a head of a TO like role or like head of community figure, I would
right.
just want what's best for like my players in my region. So like yeah, now you're losing numbers to people saving up their money and then using that money to go to Evo. And now you have even less entrants for Rivals 1 and 2 for Heatwave.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But the other thing that still bothers me with these first 2 points is the fact that online events are going to be weighted less than offline ones. Now, granted, this is something that has for the most part always been done in RCS, right? Where
I can't stop. Oh man, we will get to unless we're going to that now.
yeah, we're gonna jump to that now because
Oh buddy.
there's a common
Oh.
denominator in this issue that plagues everybody right now and was just thrown out the window. But yeah, it is 2025. Online events should not be weighted less than offline, especially in Rivals 1. I
Yeah, no, I was about to say for Rivals 1 specifically, nah. Like nah, I'm well this is going to be a huge point.
Yeah,
Huge talking point for me.
this is in, like Outcast said, this is for Rivals 1 specifically. Rivals 2, they still got some stuff to figure out. And
Mm,
we know for a
yeah.
fact that online's gonna be weighted less than offline, but that's because Rivals 2 has more events. But before
It's also like I can reasonably see. We'll get to the weights. Yeah, no, you keep going.
Yeah, before I elaborate even more as to why that needs to stop, um, I actually took a moment last night to DM Cherry Nasby, and Cherry, an amazing TO for the Nasby community. The Nasby 2 community in general, I would say, is a lot more thriving than the Rivals 1 community specifically right now, because despite everything that they've had thrown at them, they never said that their game was dead. They just kept pushing forward, and they kept putting out PRs. And so I was, well, rather Shadow was curious as to how Nasby 2 was doing their PRs, and I DM'd Cherry about it, and they have both offline events and online events that count towards their rankings. Which makes sense because Nasby 2 is a game that doesn't really have many guaranteed opportunities whatsoever, right?
Mhm.
They have Heatwave and they have Combo Breaker, I want to say still. But again, I'm not versed in the Nasby 2 community at all, but those are the two majors that I know have constantly had Nasby 2 at them for the time being. Maybe it'll return at Platfight if Platfight happens again. Maybe not, but we'll see.
We'll get to that in a second.
But yeah, the online events do not need to be weighted less than offline, and we do not. And there should, as a matter of fact, there should be no offline requirement at all. Why? Because the current state of things in the US is not good. And for everybody it's like, "Oh, I don't want politics in my video games." I hate to break it to you. It affects everybody because let's say I know there's definitely some Rivals 1 players from Mexico that are still playing the game, right? Let's just say
Mhm.
you still have this 2 offline event minimum requirement, right? On top of the 3 minimum tournament requirement to qualify for this top 25. You risk putting that person in danger. And this goes for the same thing for if they're Canadian as well. You risk putting that person in danger, and Outcast can attest to that.
Mhm. Because I mean, okay, we're starting off with that. Okay. So yeah, there was like an interesting tweet I saw from Nurse where she's just straight up like, "Hey, yeah, I just got word from the Canadian embassy that if I even attempt to like travel to the US, like I could get a lifetime ban from the US." And I'm just thinking, "Oh, okay, first of all, this is probably 110% because they are trans. But this also could affect me too because I'm like, okay, well, you you literally take one look at me, I'm Filipino as fuck, but there's like all it takes is one incident at the border patrol from like an emotionally unstable person with like all the cards, and like I am now in the gulag, in the El Salvador gulag, or I just get turned away, like at best. And that's even, and then even if I do cross, bro, like you all should see like the news right now in LA. It's crazy. The only event I can see myself going to is Genesis, and then now Cali's a dumpster fire right now with like people getting like hit by ice and peaceful protests turning into riots. Like, dude, like it's crazy. So I don't feel safe going to LA or like going to like Cali or the US in general. So why should I bother going, like if I was still competing in Rivals 1, why the hell should I bother going to offline events? Why? Like what's the point?
Yeah,
Having that requirement is ridiculous. Like having that requirement is kind of stupid, quite frankly.
yeah, that requirement needs to go. And We will explain like what we propose once we get through the rest of the stuff. But
Oh man. Yep.
yeah, that is probably the biggest one of the biggest issues that we both disagree with is just having that having that restriction of, oh, you need 2 offline tournaments when you're only guaranteed 3 events with Rivals 1 at them. Because again, Riptide, you guys may have pushed for Riptide to have Rivals 1 this year,
Oh,
but it may
boy.
not be back next year.
Oh,
Genesis may
dog.
not have
Let's
Rivals
check
1
it.
again
I'm
for
curious.
GX3.
I completely forgot about this. You piqued my curiosity on
Yeah,
this one. All
so
right, this is a little disorganized, but yeah, let's go. Are we gonna go over the numbers now or what?
yeah, we might as well, cause
Oh my
I
god.
think it's worth mentioning that while
Woo!
GX2 did get 47 people,
Woo!
it, only 34 of those 47 people actually played out the entire bracket without DQs. And granted, some of these DQs came from people that just didn't show up, and the other DQs just came from people that were far in bracket and just decided not to continue because they were in Rivals 2, right?
They were playing Rivals 2 or literally doing anything else, like getting food or supporting their friends in Melee or Ultimate. Like, or Rivals 2.
Yeah, and it's been it's been about 2 weeks since Riptide said that all right, we're going to add a 64 cap bracket with for Rivals 1, just like how Genesis X2 did, right? And it's been 2 weeks so far. I know there's been so much uproar about like that not being there, and people finally got what they wanted, right? And there's still only 13 people.
Oh man.
Like, if you guys want to keep pushing for Riptide to keep Rivals 1 here, because yes, I do know that they did make a promise that like, oh, we're going to continue to support Aether Studios in any way we can by running both Rivals 1 and 2, but at the same time, you have to show them why you want them to keep Rivals 1, why you want them to never drop this event as a side event, right? And that's getting hard. That's getting like increasingly hard to convince them to do when Rivals
Oh, but they
2
want to be the main event. Well,
when
we'll get
Rivals
to that in
2
a
is
second.
getting a lot more traction, especially when you have characters like Absa coming out soon, coming out in a couple of days. Well, not a couple of days, but a couple of weeks in that matter. Like, the game is getting more traction, the game is getting a lot of love. I know Rivals 2 currently sits at number 1 in entrants or registrants for Evo. And that's for the extended lineup, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, that's the extended
No
lineup.
shot. I didn't know that. That's news to me. That's crazy.
And
Holy
that
crap.
shows that Rivals 2 could just easily be a main stage event at Evo with how much traction it got.
Oh, bud. Like you shouldn't have told me that. Cuz now you're gonna push me to want to go. Like consequences be damned.
Yeah, I mean, Plup is going to Evo, so that'll be interesting to see.
Anyways, we'll talk. That's a different
Yeah,
topic for
a
another
different
day. But
topic for another time, but yeah.
oh man.
This I feel disappointed, and I was like one of the people that wanted to see Riptide here. Now, you're probably I know you guys are probably thinking, "Oh, why aren't you registered then?" Because right now I have personal stuff to deal with, right? I have money that I need to be managing well, right? I need I need a better reason to go to Riptide 2025 that surpasses what my experience at Riptide 2024. I'm not asking it to be on par with how Riptide 2023 was, which is my first Riptide and it was the most exciting. I'm just asking for, I'm just asking for a better experience than Riptide 2024. But for those that want to point the finger at me and say, "Oh, why aren't you signed up for Rivals 1 then? You're part of the problem as to like why the entry count is like this." It's because I have other I have other stuff in life that requires attention right now. And I also
And before you point the finger at me, man, I admit it. I actively voted against it. I voted workshop singles or Rivals 1 doubles. I'd rather watch that than singles. Are you serious? And I have a whole other spiel of like why I'm probably never returning to Riptide. Like stuff in like the US aside. But anyways, we got a new person here. Who goes?
yeah, welcome Skeptic to the conversation.
Thank you, thank you. It's good to be here.
All right,
I'm fashionably late.
This guy.
Yeah, this guy. We just got finished talking about the first 2 points of the announcement, which was any Rivals 1 tournament, online or offline, that manages to hit at least 25 entrants in the current year will be considered. Online events will be weighted less, and then three tournaments minimum to qualify. 2 of those 3 tournaments need to be offline.
But
See,
yeah, no,
that's
you go.
yeah, that's kind of rough. Like this amount of numbers would be fine if this was R2, but R1, you're really scraping here.
R2 already already eclipses all of this. By the way, I just want to let that be known. Like you could easily make a top. You could easily make a top 100 with all the info we have. If this was all the requirements, you could easily make a top 100.
That's the problem. It's just like they want to make it seem more grandiose than it should be. Like I'm not saying that you can't have high expectations for something as big as like a replacement RCS, quote and unquote. But like at the same time, it's hard to fulfill those requirements when the environment for your game doesn't encapsulate that same energy.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, like, and I also want to piggyback back into the Riptide thing, right? GX, like GX2 having a 64 cap, right? Okay, so yeah, you have people DQ out 34 out of 64 actually end up playing, right? You're hitting 50, just above 50%. That's a C minus where I'm at. Like, are you for real? And now, like, yeah, you guys cried and clamored for a Rivals 1 singles, like, at Riptide. 64 cap again. Where are you guys at? Like, this should have been half full after 2 weeks. What are we doing here? And again, I admit it, I voted against it. But here we are. Like, dude, why? Why is it at 13?
And that's what I'm kind of talking about, is that the energy for the game is there online when you're talking about it, but when it truly matters, there's a lot of crickets involved. There's not much really of a push. Like, I'm gonna be that guy for a minute, but like, if you're all about the game, you have to show up and show out. You can't just talk online and be like, yeah, where's the R1 events? We really love R1. It's better than R2. But then when there are events for it,
we will get to that in a second.
There's no one there. Yeah.
Actually, we can get into that now.
Yeah,
really quick.
We might as well pull that
the quick
bag.
Oh my god! For people saying R1 is better than R2, dog. I'm trying to be as nice as possible. That is just a preference, because how do you tell average Joe on the street when I say, oh, okay, Rivals 2 sequel to Rivals of Aether 1? I say oh, Rivals 2 has like, oh, we're now on Evo, the biggest fighting game of the year. That's basically our Super Bowl, right? And we're the only platform fighter to be in it. We got in over Smash, right? And then we also have a plethora of other events that are like just a tier or two below, right? And then we have a bunch of crossovers, like crossover pollination with like Smash players, Nasty players, all this, right? But when, but like if you're somebody that says Rivals 1's better than Rivals 2, how are you going to explain that to average Joe when I just told them this? When I just told them all of that, right? And it's not, it's like also just has like just quote unquote better graphics. So like it's more aesthetically pleasing to like people rather than the pixel art that Rivals 1 is known for. How do you justify that? And then also content wise, there's more content in Rivals of Aether 2 in like the first like week that it dropped than there ever was for Rivals of Aether 1, not counting Workshop. So explain that. Like how? How is Rivals of Aether 1 better than 2? Other than your preference. You can't. You just can't. Like I don't know how else to say it. What do you guys think?
My whole issue with that entire argument is that we don't need to attack people for their preferences, right? And on top of that, it's going to be very hard to convince people to play Rivals 1 without having to get into Rivals 2, first of all. And second of all, I've heard so many people that are like I've heard so many people both from the Rivals community and outside of the Rivals community just straight up say that, oh, I want to do stuff for Rivals 1 still because they're interested in it. And then they're also saying that the people that were saying that this game is dead, they're stupid for saying that. And I'm inclined to agree with them because again, the game was never dead to begin with, right? It was because of the general mentality of the community after Genesis X, just because the devs were focusing on working on Rivals 2 and they said that, okay, we're going to put RCS on hiatus because we have a game to work on. The community just collectively decided that, oh, we're done. The game is dead. And now it's just kind of funny that it took them well over a year later to actually decide, okay, we gotta continue with RCS standings. But after everything that was kind of said, like in the Rivals 1 versus Rivals 2 argument in like the past year leading up to now, I feel like you guys are simultaneously going to not get people for this now because of all of that and the fact that a lot of the community had that general mentality that Rivals 1 is dead. But also, you still may get new people because again, Rivals 2 is bringing in people to play Rivals 1 because people are curious as to how Rivals 1 feels, how it looks, and other characters. Like, Sylvanas, I'll just use as a random example. Some people were like, oh, I want to see how, I'm curious as to how Sylvanas plays, and I'm somebody that was playing Rivals 2. I'm going to try him out. And then who knows? Maybe they stick with the game, maybe they don't. What matters is that you got somebody to try it out. They don't necessarily have to play competitively immediately. Just have them figure out if they want to enjoy the game or not. But don't shove down their throat that, oh, Rivals 1 is the better game than Rivals 2, you should stick with it. If that happens, you want people to just let them play what they prefer to play.
Skeptic, your turn, go.
Honestly, Jaz pretty much summed up everything that I wanted to say. Like literally, you are right in terms of like the game is not dead, but it's definitely a lot harder to bring in people when your competitor is literally within the same brand and the people within the R1 community don't even show out for the game that they actually like.
God damn
So it's
it.
like, as an outsider, it's like, why would I want to invest in this game when the community themselves barely shows up and shows out?
And we're not even talking about showing up to tournaments. No, I'm talking about like streaming wise and making videos. Because like coming back to your example, Jaz, is like, oh, I want to see Sylvanos, right? You guys could have easily done a character showcase for Sylvanos, like just anything of Sylvanos, like a recent combo video or literally anything. But no, you guys shoot yourself in the foot constantly, over and over and over again, like with like how you guys say Rivals 1 is dead, when it's like, I don't care if it's a joke. You know, jokes land people in hot water. For like something as little as a joke can land you in hot water. You know that, right? So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
And that's the thing too, is that especially on Twitter, it gets lost in translation. People will see that and they don't even know that you're joking. They're like, oh shit, the game is actually dead. They posted the Steam chart numbers. I guess I won't play that game. I'll play something else.
Yeah, no, and I it's at the point where I'm like, you know what? Fine, I'll bandwagon too, right? Like, and it's like, I'll say it's dead too. I'll help you guys out. That's what you want. That's what you want. That's like, because like I said, it's very confusing. Like how you've been pointing out, Skeptic, of like you guys don't like people are not showing up and showing out.
And at that point, it's like, why would I invest my own personal time into it when I could be playing another game that has thousands of players?
Yeah, like
which has a more active scene.
But yeah, no, we're ready to move on, Jaz.
All right, but that's our little spiel. So
That's like, what was that? That was for the Riptide and like the
Genesis,
we might not
yeah.
get that. We might not get that back. We already talked about Heatwave, where Steven himself is like, hey, like, go to Evo, and that's him as a player, not as a dev.
Now, before we do fully move on, I will say this. There is a good possibility that Florida events will have Rivals 1 brackets that count towards this, because Renzo is an amazing TO, and he still shows his full-hearted support for both Rivals 1 and the Rivals 2 communities, and he shows that in both his community highlights videos and the fact that he's still willing to run Rivals 1. So I wouldn't leave Florida out of the realm of possibility. And yeah, I know why you're laughing, Outcast, because Florida... I know why you're laughing, because like Florida also has like its own slew of issues.
No. I'm laughing because like, no, there's a reason. There's like a funny veiled reason why Renzo is doing this. Not because like, yeah, he's an amazing person, but like, nah, he wants more people to play doubles.
That too, and I mean, hey, that's our doubles guy, you know.
Yeah, no, I just think it's funny. It's like, oh man, dude, it's funny. It's like a harmless type of funny. It's actually helpful.
Yeah.
Like, that's the type of jokes I appreciate.
Like, this man will even play Rivals 2 doubles. Like, he'll play doubles in both games, and that's the type of person.
No, he's a god at doubles. Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah, but yeah, CEO might just have Rivals 1 at it if Renzo is the TO.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I was about to say, I'm like, I'm probably not.
Yeah, that's if Renzo's there and is the TO, but that is put into the hands of, again, the community to step up and do stuff like that, because again, the TOs at Riptide and GX or Genesis, I should say, they could just easily say, all right, we're done with this. We're gonna move on from this.
Guys, we tried. Like, and I wouldn't blame them. I really wouldn't blame them.
But I know briefly mentioned that Florida kind of has its own slew of problems. That might not be the case anymore with CEO, because I remember it wasn't in the greatest area before, but Jabali moved it to a different location, so hopefully that's less of a problem. And then Goaty has always, again, another staple of the Rivals 1 community. There's still very much a possibility that Angel who is one of the main people, main workers at GOTY, I should say, will still have Rivals 1 if the community bands together to run that. And that's in Tampa Bay. So again, those two, GOTY at least is still a possibility that Rivals 1 will happen. But again, the only 3 guaranteed events are Hitfall, Heatwave, and Full Stack. And like I mentioned before, 2 out of 3 of those events are on the East Coast. So it's kind of... I know we kind of joked about the first couple of events for Rivals 2 Championship Series being the Rivals 2 East Coast Championship Series, but that kind of translates to here as well, with the fact that the guaranteed Rivals events are mostly East Coast.
It's like, are we gonna do proposed changes like at the end, or?
There is one more thing that I forgot to talk about, and that is the tournaments. The tournaments that already happened this year. That brings us to the bracket.
This feels rigged. Like, I'm gonna be this feels rigged off the jump. Like, that's not cray cray in a good way.
Well, yes, half of the panelists
Okay,
are
yeah,
half of the panelists are MDVA, right? Then let's look at the tournaments.
Okay, that's a whole different issue, but
Let's look at the tournaments that were given so far. So, half of these are Super Mid-Off, because Super Mid-Off is the only online event that they can really put towards this. The other half are Genesis X2, which makes sense, because that at least got over the 25-person requirement that it was listed on the announcement. Hitfall 3.5. Hitfall 3.5, which obviously everybody's going to go to Hitfall. Hitfall 4 is this October, and that's likely going to count towards this as well. And then Full Stack 2, which I'd say is the sister event to Hitfall, ran by the upstate people, mainly Henart. And yeah, you probably realized that I skipped over Bring More Setups. Well, what is Bring More Setups?
It's a bracket that counted.
Bring More Setups is a MDVA local that's ran at George Mason University. Now you're probably asking, why is a local on here? For something
because it hit a requirement.
It doesn't matter if you hit the... It does not matter if you hit the requirement for something. It does not matter if... Yeah, it does not matter if you hit the requirement for something. It does not matter if you're counting tournaments that happen already this year because you need everything you can get. You do not, in any capacity, put a local on standings that are supposed to be national standings. Because you know what this is? This is biased towards MDVA and people that are in it. This shows clear bias to those who are in MDVA. This is the biggest offender of the tournaments that are on here so far. Because I'm looking through this entire entrant list, and all of these people are either Maryland or Virginia. I do not see a single person that is from out of state on this list. All of these people are Maryland or Virginia. The only exception to this rule is obviously pre-locals to a regional or a major. Why? Because those pre-locals they don't just have people that live within that region. Those pre-locals also have people from other places participating in it. And thus that makes it count towards national standings, right? This is not a pre-local. This was not a pre-local to anything. This is just a BMS that happened to get over the entrant count and was added because it was over the entrant count. This is a big no-no. This is the biggest offender on this entire tournament list right here. And Peter, if you're watching this needs to be removed now. Because this is bias towards MDVA. This is not fair at all to anybody that does not live in MDVA. I don't care if you guys need every tournament you can get, this needs to go. This should not count. Because this is a local that should count towards MDVA PR, not NA RCS. At all. That needs to go. And there's one other thing that really made me put NA in quotation marks. So if you guys have noticed, I have NA in quotation marks in the title of the stream. Why? Why is that? It's because if you look at the top 10 so far, and I'm gonna zoom in and try to move over a bit. I guess I can't. But
okay, yeah, there we go.
If you look at this top 10 so far, and I apologize if some of it's obscured. Let me see if I can just open up the
Yeah,
full
no,
thing.
you got it. No, you got it.
There we go. That's better. So if we just open up the full thing here, your top 10 is Soul Rifle, Fire Icy, Human Lime, Bicycle, Elky, Spiker, Luxie, Melon, Penguin, Terry. But wait a minute, who is Fire Icy? I'm not familiar. I've been paying attention.
I was gonna be like, there's not enough Zetters, but yeah, who is Fire Icy?
Yeah, who is Fire Icy? This isn't a name that I know from NA. You probably are familiar with all the other names that you see. Well, that's because...
Who is Viromelon?
If I look up, I don't know, EU, RCS, Season 8 standings, if I can find it, screw you AI overview, but yeah, that's,
Oh, man.
If I don't even think it's gonna give me it, but I don't know why the EU RCS rankings aren't on here, but for those that don't know who Fire Icy is, that's the #1 player in EU. Why is he on...
EU? Golly gee willikers, that's not NA.
Yeah, that is definitely not NA. At all.
But that is a Zetterburn.
So why is Fire Icy on here? It's because Super Mid-Off is not region locked to NA at all. And neither is Mid-Off.
Man.
And so because neither of those brackets are region locked to NA, Fire Icy has been actively competing in those events.
He's been dog walking you guys.
That too, but that's a different topic. Why, if you're calling something NA RCS, are you allowing Fire Icy to just chill here at your #2 spot for NA RCS? At that point, if you're going to include Fire Icy, because he's been playing in all of your tournaments, that's not NA RCS anymore. That's RCS Global. That's basically what season, I want to say 1 and 2 of RCS was. And Tech, welcome. Am I correct about that? Was season 1 and 2 unified?
No, it wasn't unified. Wait. Season 1, I think, was unified. I can actually tell you 1 second. Let me look it up.
Okay. Either way, Skeptic, what do you have to add?
No, Jaz pretty much hit the nail on the head. Literally, just like, there's so many problems with this new RCS, and I get it. It's difficult to come up with a structure that's well balanced and for everybody, but like, Fire Icy should not be up there. That's just like a no-brainer.
But guys, it's not that deep. That's why they have the offline tournament requirement. Guys, it's not that deep. Alright, it's not that serious. It's not that serious, guys. Okay, well, if it's not that serious, then why are you guys even bothering? You guys are getting dog-walked by Rivals of Aether 2 when you guys halted your momentum.
season 1 and 2 was combined because
Combined.
Chaos was on season 1 and 2.
All right, well then there you go. If you want Fire Icy to stay on here, go. We're going all the way back to like 2017, and we're making this a combined
Which is
power
okay.
rankings, and that's
Which is
fine.
okay.
That's fine, because I'm sure there's like people that are in maybe Asia that would still like to play Rivals 1, and possibly get on global rankings, because we never got a chance to see the Asia scene come to NA and make a name for themselves, right?
True.
We could have people like Vipaharo, the best player in South America, potentially still play this. And I know Vipaharo is playing Rivals 2 now, but hey, maybe one day he decides he wants to play Rivals 1 again, right? And he plays in this. He had quite a showing at Heatwave when he was flown up to Heatwave. So yeah.
He also put in work in Hurricane, from what I remember.
But yeah, that wraps up the bracket portion of this. Tech, I know you got into call kind of late. We basically went through like why on the online events need to be weighted, less needs to go, why the 2 offline tournament requirement needs to go.
Mm-hmm.
The issue with like the reason why there's only 3 guaranteed events, because if we're looking at GX2 and Riptide, right?
Yeah.
And then of course, BMS 191 should not be on these rankings because that was not a pre-local to a regional or a major. And then of course, Fire Icy is listed on here when he's not NA. Which, by the way, how is Feisty going to come to NA in any capacity to play?
No, but
offline?
then they'll just disqualify him from it. They'll just disqualify him from the panel, and then like, but then like we look at bracket. And it's like, wait, but he was number 2. He's in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well then like, all you guys get is a shrug. Like, I don't know how that got there. Like, you guys let this EU Zetterburn dog walk you guys in your own events. That's crazy.
Yeah, he's taken first in like a couple of their events. They've been able to
He's still hitting top 3.
Yeah, but he's still essentially top 3 as of this PR that they put together.
Like, he's been hitting top 8 at the bare minimum anytime he does a super mid off. I never want to hear that EU is behind, like in terms of rivals. Like, get that out of here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's like a lot to cover because you just caught me up on everything. I do think it should be global and not NA, because there's another region that I didn't look at a lot, but I thought it was really cool. The Italian scene. Like, Rivals exist in Italy.
Yes.
And I don't know how active they are now, but I just looked it up, and I mean, they did their power rankings 7 months ago, so it's still like active. You know,
like they're honestly pretty good. Like,
Yeah.
like about this, and which is, I'm just bewildered. Why is it that NA gets all the things, but they just squander it? You guys just squander it. From like from my POV.
I think it's because there's a lot of thoughts on like, hey, this would be cool if, or what if we did this, but there's a lot less execution, and there's a lot less people that, I want to tread lightly, that don't want the responsibility, so they'd like to push it off, and then that's why it kind of just falls apart. The base is a good idea, but the base isn't that strong. So then when they're starting to build it up and then it just tumbles and falls apart, it's just not good.
Yeah, like Riptide. 2025 roll 1.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you guys bitched and moan. I'm gonna use bitch and moan constantly. And then now only 13 people signed up when this shit should have been like an easy 30.
Oh yeah.
This should have been a Michael Jordan flu game.
Mm-hmm.
How? And I again actively voted against it, but here we are.
Yeah. And then just to kind of like go back a little bit with all the tournament requirements and online being weighed like less or more, and I know like I'm late again, right? I understand why people would say online is weighted less because you know, quote, see me offline, that classic thing, right? But I don't think it's as important for the current state of Rivals 1. I think you can pretty much weigh everything, fairly regularly, and it can still be worth it because most of the time the people that are in the top 8 of an online tournament are more than likely going to be in top 8 of the offline tournament.
Yeah, they're gonna get top 8 or 9th or 13th, which is still like
you're still close
good. Still good placements.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I want to use
13th is still a pretty good placement with Riptide.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah. Okay. But anyways, yeah. No. Anyways, no. Like, I want to use this as an example. So, like, let's use like, I don't know who to use for an example. Give me somebody that was like like an online warrior turned like offline demon tech.
I mean, Chaos was really good back in the day, and he was doing some shit. And then when Genesis came, it was kind of like the Armada type thing when like in Melee, where they were like, "Oh, we don't know if he's that good. He's just from Europe." And then he did well. Like he proved his point, and Chaos did well. He didn't win, but I mean, he still did shut a lot of people up. He was still very good.
Because like I remember distinctly like where, man, I think it might have been. No, I think it was just straight up Marlin, where you just played online and then he just ends up going to a few offline brackets. Oh, the skill translates.
Yes.
Squanto's another good example.
Oh yeah, Squanto is an amazing example actually. Yeah. Like even now, like I remember, like it was like I forgot which Riptide it was, but he said he like stopped playing the game and then he still gets like 13th.
Yeah.
In like a stacked Riptide. I'm like, dog, like you can't, especially like we talked about like the current state of affairs in the States, but like even then, like the skill from online translates to offline. So for specifically Rivals 1, it should weigh the same. For Rivals 2, it could be like 85, 90%, like of an online bracket has like the weight of an offline bracket, but that's a different topic.
Yeah. Wasn't Mookie also whenever they started? Weren't they like online warriors? I could be wrong. So someone can fact check me on that one. But I could have sworn
that might be a Shadow question.
Yeah, I'd have to ask
if
Shadow.
and when he gets here.
I'd also have to ask about Volnita or whatever they go by. There's point being, there's plenty of like online warriors turn offline demons, and it like this skill just translate. In fact, they were probably scarier offline. So like, you shouldn't have this off. Like, you need 2 offline event requirement. Oh, but Mr. Outcast, what? But then that doesn't disqualify Fire AC. Well, little Timmy, I guess it shouldn't be called NA anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, it drives the point home that it should just be global. Like, there's no reason. The game is so much smaller now. There's no reason to continuously subject it to only NA. It doesn't make sense, because then at that point you could make it a top 50 list again if there are that many countries that still want to play and
no,
compete.
but Tech, you don't understand. NA, we the best.
No, we're not.
Yeah, honestly, it's like, now that I think about it, that is super contradictory. How are you going to have Fire IC play in your events? It's not region lock, and then you just say, "Oh, the rankings are just gonna be for NA."
Oh yeah, and he's also top 3.
Yeah.
But that leads us to our proposed solutions for everything. So obviously I
We
typed
touched on
this up
one.
yesterday, just kind of summed up all the issues that we had, and that's that online events should not be weighted less than offline events at all, especially when Super Mid-Off is the only online event that counts, and with the current state of affairs in the US. People should not be required to go to at least 2 offline events to qualify for top 25, given the previous point about the US, and the fact that there's only 3 guaranteed events that Rivals 1 is going to have Rivals 1 at them. Offline locals should never, ever, ever count towards a national ranking, unless it is a pre-local to a regional or major. And
No, but it hit the requirement, Jazz. No,
No, it
stop,
should
you
not be on
monster.
there. And being desperate for events to count towards standings is not an excuse to have BMS 191 on here. That needs to go. That really does need to go. And then, of course, Feisty, an EU player, allowed on the NA RCS rankings. He can't even go to the US to meet that offline requirement at all. And
That's without that. It's without the current state of affairs.
Yeah, and essentially it's like a big middle finger if the current rules were left the way they are, he'd just be getting a big middle finger at the end of the year. So, what needs to be changed or added to make this better? We already talked about RCS Global, right? If we're going to have Fire Icy on these rankings, the NA only tournament requirement needs to just be removed completely and just called RCS Global. That will get a lot more people on board to try and make the global rankings. And it might just allow us to see like what other regions have to bring, like Asia. Again, we never got to see what Asia could do in Rivals 1. And we know how good they are, right? We could potentially see
the potential's there for them. Like if it kept going.
Yeah, we could see Vipaharo continue his dominance in South America and show that on the global rankings, right? There's a lot to gain by just simply changing it to RCS Global and not NA RCS. The time to just leave it to NA is gone, right? We need to be all inclusive. If you're going to make Super Mid-Off and Mid-Off inclusive to all regions, you need to apply that to everything as well, right? What about everything else? Well, the minimum entrant count needs to be reduced to 20 from 25. Why? Because you want to be able to at least have a cushion to fall on for like something that can count towards this, right? Because obviously local numbers, yeah, no, I mean local should not count anyway. That's so stupid. You want something that's like pushing probably the average number of like Super Mid-Off to, I guess, some of the offline events. But you also want to make sure you have a reasonable cushion, and that's why I think that reducing the entrant count to 20 from 25 can help with that. Then, of course, we need to get rid of the offline requirement entirely because, again, there's not many guaranteed Rivals 1 events for people to go to, and most of them are on the East Coast anyway. Like, even say if we did count GOTY, that's just another East Coast event, right? If you counted CEO and Riptide, that's just still more East Coast events, and the only 2 that you'd have would be Genesis and Heatwave. That's incredibly skewed. You need to get rid of that entirely, and honestly, you can just bump the minimum tournament requirement up. Like, Outcast proposed 5D. I know that commonly in RCS, the minimum tournament requirement to qualify was 4. Do you think we should just keep it at 5 because Super Mid-Off is constantly happening monthly, or what else? What do you guys think?
If there's a higher amount of tournaments, then I think it can be bumped up. There is like a thing that could happen. I doubt this would ever happen. You could keep a one offline tournament requirement if the people that are making the rankings and stuff talk to the TOs of the other country, and they can all come together and form essentially a circuit. So like you would have one offline tournament for Asia, and all the Asian players go, and that's their offline tournament. So they have their offline requirement. Italy, South America, Canada, Mexico, all that. And then you just have your, offline shit in NA. And then that would like meet it. But then again, are there that many players in that country that are still interested in Rivals? I'm speaking about every country that is still playing Rivals. Do they have enough to meet the 25-person requirement? And it would have to, each one of them would have to be built up in their respective region as a regional, not a glorified local.
Mhm.
But that's a lot of effort, and I don't know if everybody has that amount of effort in them.
That's a reasonable thing to ask. Skeptic,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Not only effort, also a lot of money and time. Like
Time
organizing
is
these
a big thing.
big events and these types of like global scale type of things is just, you're asking a lot out of their player base without that much backing.
Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to dip. So you guys have fun.
All right,
Okay.
thank you,
No problem.
guys.
I have a lot more to pop off, but yeah, whatever. That's pretty much my tech. You three are basically in my mind, except without without actually competing in the damn thing, which was a slog.
Yeah, alright. NA RCS top 40 Outcast. Thank you. Alright, but Skeptic, go ahead and continue if you still had something to input.
Yeah, I was just about to say that I will say this though, I don't want to be too negative. I do like that they are trying to get things running for R1 again, but at the same time, there shouldn't be that many flaws. And at least in my opinion, I'm completely ignorant to running these major events, but you should be able to look at previous tournaments and see what went wrong and kind of like go from there. Like if this was R2, I can kind of understand, but R1 literally has like years worth of like tournaments that you could like look back on. So why are we kind of seeing these not necessarily easy to spot mistakes, but like this is something that should have been discussed upon with others within the scene to make sure that this is properly ran and everybody's okay with like the general rules of the tournament. Because in my, at least outsider perspective, this rule set seems to be very spontaneous. It's very like biased, in my opinion. Like they took a bunch of things from other tournaments without realizing why it is structured the way that it is. So I think that while there are a lot of criticisms that should be vocalized from this new and upcoming like RCS, I do think it is at least good that we're trying to bring and drum up interest within R1, because even though, I do like R1 after years of actually disliking the game, I do think that it does have its place alongside R2. It just depends on whether or not the community will rally up when the time comes for it, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Tech, do you have anything else to input?
What I really think they probably should have done off rip is they should have tried to reach out to like Dan or SBS, probably SBS because Dan's like way too busy, and just be like, hey, do you have like the guideline for like what y'all did for RCS, or like even talk to the people that was involved in grassroots, regardless of people's opinion on if that was ran terribly or ran well, there's a bunch of different varying opinions on it when it came out for the grassroots league. Regardless, you should have those as guidelines, then look at them and adjust them properly. Because, but maybe they did. Maybe they did. I'm not entirely sure. And then they just came up with this rule set that, yeah, from the outsider perspective, it does look a little biased and kind of unorganized. It's a weird unorganized. It's like it's attempted, but it's like not properly executed. And I'm not an expert, all right? I mean, yeah, I'm a TO in my region, but I'm not trying to run, national level rankings.
Right.
So, I think like if you get, I always say there's never too much data. If you have more data, you can make a better result at the end because you can analyze everything and then figure it out from there. And then, of course, not everyone's going to be happy, but you will have more people happy than upset.
And that's what you would want as well. You don't want to do wrong with those who are invested into your rankings and your tournaments. You want to at least try your best at making a good effort. And like you said earlier, reaching out to Dan or SBS whenever they have the time, because even if their RCSs are not perfect as well, their experiences and what they can provide will be so much helpful to you.
Yep.
Like it in a long way. Like it may not be super useful in the short term, but in the long term, just knowing how it was ran can just make improving your rankings and tournaments a lot less stressful.
Yeah, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be the devs, because I remember MSB was on the panel, if I remember correctly, for a couple seasons at least. And I think Proto was also involved as well. So, I mean, you could reach out to some like veteran players as well and ask them and figure it out first and then go from there. And this is like, the worst case, like you can't get in touch with any of the other people that were involved, so then you're just kind of going down the line until you can finally get to a good conclusion.
But the bottom line is try to get different perspectives, like the devs, like the competitors that competed in RCS, people who compete in locals, people who don't compete in locals. Try to get a variety of perspectives, and from there, you can make a better and formulated opinion on how we should form the structure of this NA RCS. And even like you said earlier, Tech, not everyone's going to be happy with it, but at the very least, you can't say that they didn't put an honest effort into it. And at the very least, again, you're drumming up interest for the game, and so you're essentially keeping it alive.
Yeah. And just to kind of like backtrack a little bit, when I mentioned about the offline tournament for each country, it does take a lot of time of planning and money. Yes. But for that, my idea was like, it was just for that country. I mean, I guess like if people in NA or South America or Asia or anybody, if they wanted to go to one of the other, like if they wanted to go to Canada, if they wanted to go to South America, if they wanted to go to Italy and they're coming from Europe or something, then like, yeah, by all means go and attend it. But my idea was like, it's just for that region. And then, I mean, let's say the NA players were like, we're flying everywhere. And then they went to every single country regional. Then yeah, I guess that's good. But my original idea was just specifically for that country, so they could have their offline tournament. So then they could, really we have the offline data. These players played here, and you could also do it like it doesn't have to be like super spaced out, right? Because if let's say no country travels at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then you could be like, all right, it's June, and we're gonna end during January for Genesis. Let's just say that, okay? Then October and November, that's where all the countries' big offline tournament is happening. They're like, okay, October 7th, let's just say it's a weekend. October 7th, we're doing this event. It's in South America. End of the month, October 30th, the event's happening in Canada. November hits, Now you can't expect the people that would travel, if they did, to travel to all these events, but that's why we're putting the thing there. You could have multiple events happen on the same weekend. It doesn't affect the others because they're not flying to these countries. But that's just an idea. I don't know if anybody would execute it. I don't know if anybody has that much desire or passion, but if they do, more power to them. If you can get that many players, if that many players have enough interest, if that many TOs have enough interest, I think that's great, because it's keeping the game alive ultimately. But yeah, that's just elaborating on the one offline event requirement.
Definitely an idea that could possibly happen in the future if Rivals 1 continues to get more traction. Cause
Yeah.
I will say this, when I was talking to Cherry, he told me that the next season for NASB 2 is gonna be a top 50. And to put that into context, their season 4 PR was a top 20.
Yeah. It is having the beginnings of a resurgence.
Yeah,
which is
for
really
sure.
good. Which is really good. The game is sick.
And that's the type of stuff that the Rivals 1 community should be paying attention to and taking notes on, right?
Yes.
Because if they want to see a resurgence, and from a player perspective, from a player and TO perspective, I strongly believe in a resurgence in Rivals 1 as well. For as long as I've been running the hunt, and for as long as I've been like off and on commentating for Rivals 1 and trying to get back into playing it, I'm rooting for a resurgence for Rivals 1 because there's still so much to be discovered on the workshop floor specifically, and there's probably stuff on the older characters that has yet to be revealed, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I want this to succeed. It's just that, my God, what was handed to everybody is like, there's no way you guys are content with this. There's a clear issue with this that nobody seems to have addressed at all. But on the topic of that, the final point that I think needs to happen to make this better is that if we're going to raise the minimum tournament requirement to either 4 or to 5 people or just leave it at 4, then the top 25 should be reduced to a top 20. Now, I will be honest, I firmly believe that this top 25 should have been a top 20 to begin with. Why? Because how many people are going to meet these requirements, right? I know a handful of people that are constant online grinders, that are constantly online and playing in Super Mid-Off, that probably wouldn't be able to make 2 offline tournaments, right? And because they won't be able to make those 2 offline tournaments, they miss out on this top 25. So I think just off that alone, it should have been a top 20 to begin with. But I think if you bump the minimum tournament requirement to 5, there needs to be something to balance that out. And I think the thing that balances that out is reducing the top 25 to a top 20. Which is fine because, again, like we just said, there's nothing wrong with the top 20. NASB 2's Season 4 PR is a top 20. And if these changes are made to what was given in this announcement, then and everything works out, then you can adjust that later on. 1 and 2, you might just be able to work your way back up to a top 50, right?
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
But yeah, for now, Peter, Miko, Willow, and Abra, if any of you see this, a lot needs to be changed about what you guys have put together so far. Because I know for a fact your heart is in the right place. But your mind isn't really thinking about the betterment of everybody. And it's evident within these first 2 points, and the fact that you named this NA rankings but still decided to place Fire Icy on this bracket page. And for the love of God, Peter and Willow, remove BMS 191. That is an MDVA PR specific bracket, not a global ranking specific bracket. Local should not count, especially knowing the fact that I can't think of any other state that still has consistent locals. Arizona still has Rivals 1 stuff, right? They can't run Rivals 1 locals weekly anymore and have shifted to Rivals 2 because internet is not one of the main things that Arizona is known for. They'll still have monthlies for Rivals 1. Should those monthlies count? No, not at all. Because those are specific to their region. Right? And that same thing goes for like any offline monthlies that happen within the region. It's the regionals and the majors that count. Because those regionals and majors are bringing in people from that don't reside in the state. But BMS 191 is in no way a pre-local that was the precursor to a major or a regional, and that, I'm begging you, needs to go. I know both of you, Peter, you are the former BMS TO, and Willow, you are the current BMS TO. Remove that shit now, because it should not count towards this. It should count towards MDVA and MDVA only. But that's pretty much is going to wrap up everything that me and my friends have to comment on what we've seen for the NA RCS announcement, or I should rather say this needs to be a RCS global announcement. But before we end things here, Skeptic Tech, do you have anything else that either of you would like to add?
In terms of closing thoughts, I think overall, like, I appreciate the attempt, but I do hope that they do reflect on their rule sets. And while they may not adhere to all of these changes, I at least hope that they would explain, like, as to why they made certain decisions. And I would at least like to know that they're listening, at the very least. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to reach the same goal. We're all trying to bring in more R1 players. We're trying to keep the game alive. And if we're all going towards the same goal, why not try to make it more accessible for everybody? Why not try to bring each other up a little bit more and try to get more community feedback so that at the end of the day, everyone is content with not only the game, but also competing within the game.
Yeah, that's a good closer. I would just say, just bouncing off of everything Skeptic said, also just come at everything with an open mind. I mean, like he said, we all want the game to continue to stay alive and like potentially just grow to be larger. So just, like you said, listen to those other perspectives, come at it with an open mind, analyze it, and these are just criticisms. We're not shitting on you for it. We're being passionate about it. We're saying, oh, well, try and have less biases, with having the East Coast tournament on there as a qualifier, not a qualifier, but you know what I'm saying. And just yeah, I'm not saying that y'all aren't doing enough. Just analyze the situation and see how you can improve what you're already doing. Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah, that is a great way to end it. And that being said, I want to thank you all for watching this kind of really long video. Again, I do hope that the panelists of this these RCS rankings do watch this video. I'm making this out of a place of love in my heart for Rivals 1. This isn't out of hate whatsoever. This is out of concern and the want to see a revival of Rivals 1. You know, because this is the game that got me into competing, and this is the game that I still want to continue to foster as a fellow TO and as somebody who still wants to try to compete when she's all done with college, you know. But if you are watching this, please spread this around to all the Rivals 1 community if you can. A lot does need to change about this to make this all inclusive, because again, at the end of the day, this shouldn't be an NA RCS rankings. This should be an RCS global rankings until we can work our way back up to having a top 50, right? That's probably what the end goal is to continue to grow Rivals 1 again, and to get to the point where it's a top 50 again and not a top 20 or a top 25. But I've been Jaz. Thank you all for watching, and we are rolling out. See ya.